So in a way, the path of entrepreneurship is a path of self discovery. But if we are not mentally prepared for facing all these challenges, it creates a lot of mess in our head, and then um, there's only a limited amount of space or data that we can capture in our conscious mind.
I feel that it's very essential to creating a kind of a holistic wellness approach. Meditation can be done, in under a minute and can really reap some huge benefits. I think people are tuning into this more often.
When you start to use affirmations, visualizations, as you're trying to figure out, what exactly you want. Uh, I'm not saying don't limit yourself, but don't go overboard. Be realistic, because we need to believe in these visualizations.
I find that writing can really help connect you to your subconscious and then, what your soul is going through at times or processing. So even if it's free writing or, creative writing, anything that just kind of gets, your hand to the page for 10 minutes a day or so allows you to find that space in your mind.
Welcome, everyone. We are excited to have you on this first live Facebook Live that we are going to do. We did a test a few days ago. It seems to be working. So my name is Manuj, and you want to introduce yourself, Vanessa?
Yeah, I'm Vanessa. I also go by Nessie. My last name is Quarantello. I have founded a company called No Greater Love and have connected, and we are here to produce and present some tips for launching into 2020.
Yeah, so that's the theme. So my background is software and IT, and I work with startup founders, and I coach startup founders, consult, provide training. And so the idea is that we both are very much passionate about including some purpose, some uh, the spiritual side of your personality, incorporating that into business so that you can build a business around your life, and something that fulfills you. And that's what we are going to talk about today. The topic of today's talk is: Are you? Are you? Do you wanna? Do you wanna do
Yeah,
the honors?
yeah, I'd have happily. So we're just trying to get some thoughts around 2020. So is your 2020 plan ready to launch? And coming up with some strategies and tips to incorporate both self-care and supportive actions and activities for your business.
Yeah. And so we've come up with a few concepts that we will talk about today. So the theme, as I said earlier, is about incorporating your whole sort of personality into your business, and that includes your mind, body, and soul. And so we will touch upon each one of these topics and provide some actionable tips and tricks that you can sort of incorporate into your lives to take care of these three aspects of your existence.
Excellent. Thank you.
All
Yeah.
right. So should we start? So we're going to talk about mind, and then we'll talk about the body and the soul. So for mind, do you wanna say something about that?
Yeah, I think that sometimes we come across some blockage in our clarity and our thinking, and that affects our resilience, and therefore makes it hard to see the path ahead. So we wanted to come up with some ideas and some ways that wouldn't take too much time out of your day, but definitely giving some attention to that would help shift kind of the quality of your mind.
Yeah. So basically, in my experience, entrepreneurship is quite a challenge. Most people think it's going to be an easy thing to make a lot of money and become the next Mark Zuckerberg. But the fact is, the path of entrepreneurship is full of challenges and obstacles, and it's designed um, it's designed in such a way. In fact, like, design is the wrong word, but when it unfolds in such a way that it actually contributes to your growth. So in a way, the path of entrepreneurship is a path of self discovery. But if we are not mentally prepared for facing all these challenges, it creates a lot of mess in our head, and then um, there's only a limited amount of space or data that we can capture in our conscious mind. So if if you're not prepared, and if you're not able to sort of compartmentalize all these thoughts and all these experiences we are having, uh, at some point in your journey, you may start to tip over onto the negative side and start making decisions which are not in your best interest. So that is why making sure that your mind is clear and you have enough sort of headspace to think the thoughts that you really need to think, the decisions that you really need to make, is very important. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
All right, great. So in my experience, meditation is really good to satisfy your mind and create some empty space, and just have enough capacity in your brain for uh, these connections to establish themselves in a way that it will not result in self sabotage. That's has been my experience. Meditation has helped me tremendously. Rather than sort of focusing on the future, living in the past, I'm more living in the present, and that has been as a result of meditation, and it has helped in entrepreneurship as well. What are your views, Vanessa, on this?
Yeah, I feel that it's very essential to creating a kind of a holistic wellness approach. Meditation can be done, in under a minute and can really reap some huge benefits. I think people are tuning into this more often, and I just, want to impress upon everyone that it doesn't need to be hours upon hours each day or each week to get the same benefits you might get in 5 minutes or so.
Mhm, mhm. So, do you want to go ahead and share some meditation technique that people can incorporate into their lives easily?
Yeah, so I've been working recently in breath work. So that's pranayama, which is one of the limbs of yoga, and
Mhm,
really working on the breath and how it connects to the energy,
mhm,
and using what's called essential breath. So that's
mhm,
sitting or laying down in a relaxed way and focusing on bringing the air from the tip of the lungs, so the bottom of the rib cage, all the way up to the top of the lobes of the lungs, so all the way up to where the shoulders are, in a very slow fashion on the inhale and exhale, and doing this for 10 different rounds. So it can take about 3 minutes to really settle in, do that, and then reintegrate. But if you were to take notice of how you felt before starting the breath and then after, I think you'd find you'd have a lot more clarity. And I do recommend doing this as soon as you wake up, so before you leave your bed, and just as you get back into bed to go back to sleep at night. So twice a day, 3 minutes a day. You're already going to be breathing. This is just going to be, something that takes a bit more focus, but you might come to enjoy and really look forward to.
yeah. And then, shall we quickly address a couple of questions that people bring up when we talk about meditation? One frequent one is like, I don't have time. The second one is, oh, I can never sit still for even
Yeah.
a few minutes.
Yeah.
Um, so one thing about time, it's about understanding the benefits of this exercise. Yes, everybody is busy, everybody has tons of things to do, but let's say if you realize that you could do those things much more efficiently, or in a much better way, such that the output will be exponentially better, then you will see that devoting this time towards meditation, it actually frees up a lot of your time in other activities. So this myth that you don't have any time, you really need to sort of understand the benefits, maybe even read some scientific studies, because meditation is no longer is like a new age practice where some hippies are spending their time doing some breath work. It's actually proven, scientifically proven. More than what, 1,500
Mhm.
scientific studies have been conducted on meditation. Yes.
Mhm. Yes, I would.
Yeah.
I would think that's a low estimate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So go. educate yourself and learn about the importance, and then you will realize that devoting a few minutes of your time can improve your lifestyle, your entire life, the way you deal with people, the way you make decisions. Uh, so that's one thing that I will say about time. Do you want to handle the second one where people say they cannot sit still?
Yeah, I think that the example I gave with the essential breath, that's a small way to start, and it really is not easy to control your mind, so you shouldn't allow it to. But rather thinking of thoughts just as observations, and then using the breath to come back to the present moment. So I like to remind people when I'm coaching them to bring their mind to where their body is and be
Mhm.
present. So
Uh,
even if you have to do that 100 times in 3 minutes, you are progressing and you are getting better. And you will find a way to, naturally get deeper and understand yourself more. So just like anything else, it does take some practice, but you do get a great result.
yeah, yeah. And also the other thing that I will say is the whole point of meditation is to get to take you to a point where you can say that yes, I can sit still. Yes, you may not really see the result on day one, so we can take baby steps, start small, but then as your practice starts to build up, you will start to notice that you can get get your mind to be calm, and that is the whole point, right? That's the
Mhm.
end goal. And again, I want to say one thing, like, don't expect this to work like right away. Some people may have really profound experiences very, very quickly, but for some others it may take a little while, maybe a week or so. But don't give up, keep going, and then don't keep wondering whether you are doing it right, because that's another thing which is sort of counterproductive. When you start to meditate, you're always thinking, am I doing this right? Because nothing's happening, you know.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
So um so just notice your thoughts, whatever thought is coming, and don't that get entangled in that. Like, don't get emotionally involved in that thought. Just just put it aside and come back to your breath or whatever you're focusing on, and keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just wanted to add, it just came to mind, technology is on your side. I think it can be seen as such a distraction, but there's so many meditation apps that are free on the market. If you go into the app store and just take a quick look, or just a quick Google will give you, tons of different ideas, so that
Hmm.
if you need something guided, you do feel that you need, a bit of support, or you can't put your phone down, you can meditate while connected to technology. And that's sometimes a really great feeder for people that are just starting out.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of guided meditations that you can use to get started. All right. So the next one is body. So I think this one should be easier. Most people are familiar with the benefits of exercise. Do
Mhm.
you want to start with that?
Yeah, I find that, not becoming the next, Mr. or Mrs. World. You don't need to be, a devout bodybuilder or an extremist. But there's so many different offerings out there, apps, or just a walk around the block, getting, the endorphins going and really activating the brain. If you enjoy the outdoors, if the weather permits, it's a wonderful way just to get everything moving and connected. The mind,
Mhm.
body, and spirit really does work well when activated through the body. Increased blood flow helps with oxygenation, gives you better rest. And typically, the increase of the good neurotransmitters like oxytocin and endorphins, really do go a long way. It's just a matter of finding the style of exercise you enjoy, so that
Mhm.
it doesn't feel like a task. It feels like something that you look forward to and that you want to accomplish and get stronger and faster or more agile. And another way to think about it is if you can find a partner or a group of people, perhaps at a yoga class or a gym or a different studio, that might create some community for you beyond just exercising. You might really connect with these people on a social or professional level and get to see a different side of people. So it really does create a lot of great opportunity socially too.
Yeah. Well, you can consider this as another lead gen opportunity.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So, and then the other thing is, like, one thing I believe in, which I said earlier as well. Take baby steps. So, on one of my episodes of my podcast, one guest gave an excellent suggestion. Is like, we always put really big goals in front of us and say, okay, let's lose 20 pounds in 1 month or whatever. And he goes like, these goals are really lofty, so we got to be, we got to be easy on us, especially if we, if we are having some trouble getting motivated. So he said, you can start with one push up a day, and that's it. And get into the habit of that. So it doesn't have to be like an elaborate bodybuilding or weightlifting routine. You can just start with the simple steps and then work your way up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other thing is physical movement. Like, a lot of us, we work from home, or either even from the office. Like, we can take a morning walk. We can choose to take the stairs instead of the elevator. I mean, these are all activities that can be incorporated easily. And as a natural sort of rhythm of life, we can uh, enjoy the benefits of this physical movement, which is just light exercise, which is what we need, right?
Yeah. And I think also if you're in an urban area, or I've seen them more in other less urban areas, are, the bikes that you can rent, to ride around. I know that's popular in New York City to commute back and forth. So not only are you getting some fresh air and some exercise, but you're being, more green in the way that you're transporting yourself. So that's always something to consider. And yeah, I think, like you said, it's pretty remarkable what small things can do, like one push-up per day,
Yeah.
really can help activate and motivate you to get onto maybe a more lengthy routine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, we are all um, ambitious entrepreneurs, professionals. We want to achieve big things, but unless we focus on our own well-being, the results that are presented to us in the physical world, they actually match, how well we take care of ourselves. So the more you go deeper into these things, the better results in whatever sort of work that you're doing, whatever goals that you're setting for yourself in the physical world, you'll see that it becomes easier. You can accomplish goals faster, and the outcome is much better. In fact, like, a lot of times you'll say, okay, I want to achieve this much, but if you start to work on yourself, you can actually start to experience the outcome is even better than what your original goal was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. It's surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last one in this category is sleep, because a lot of people, once again, as we are trying to establish a business, we are trying to close a deal or what have you, you know, sleep is sometimes considered optional, because we can, have terms like, okay, let's pull an all-nighter and we'll get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And then, this is a huge misconception, especially, younger people are prone to this. I used to work long hours and everything. Um, and I think we underestimate the importance of sleep. And just like exercise, just like meditation, it's actually designed to, enhance the brain activity, make those connections of whatever we are thinking, whatever decisions we have to make, whatever new things we are learning. So if you're sleep deprived, generally the brain is not in a condition to make those connections. So the rest that you get is really helpful for your brain to replenish the energy and be more functional as you're full of energy. So I mean, obviously you will have much more to say about this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that also, in our culture, uh, caffeine, right, and these energy drinks and etc. But there's no amount of beverage or caffeine that can replace good sleep. And just back to what you're saying, getting that restful, natural night's sleep really helps make those connections a lot more. It's so healthy for you to have time to dream as well. That helps your creative side. And honestly, just think about your emotional state when you've had a full night's sleep versus when you haven't.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's
yeah,
not just night by night, it's that consistency. So getting a good sleep hygiene routine where, your body knows when you're starting to wind down. Perhaps you get rid of any screen, put your phone down for about 30 to 60 minutes before getting into bed. using, maybe some aromatherapy. Lavender oil is really nice at night, and just kind of getting yourself into your bed and using that as your sanctuary for sleep, not watching television or anything else that's kind of activating your thoughts, just really allowing yourself to shut down for a few hours.
Yeah. And I wish we had somebody from Spain to comment on this, because they enjoy quite a bit of their sleep, and even during the day. um, so if somebody watches this replay and then you're from Spain, please do chime in. All right. So the next one is our soul. So um, again, this is like a much deeper topic, but it is related to mind. I mean, in this category, basically what we are trying to do is address some of our core needs, wants, and desires. Also address some fears that we may have, that we have picked up during our lifetime. It could be some incident that happened in our childhood, or what have you. So basically, the soul is the inner source energy that we all have, and it manifests itself by working through our subconscious mind and all that. But we really need to nourish it and take care of it. And we will go over a few things that you can incorporate to actually get it done. So what do you want to say about
Yeah, I find that writing can really help connect you to your subconscious, and then, what your soul is going through at times or processing. So even if it's free writing or, creative writing, anything that just kind of gets, your hand to the page for 10 minutes a day or so allows you to find that space in your mind. And then I think, kind of resonates with how your soul feels, or, spending some time in nature can do that for you as well. Feeling that connection we have to the rest of the world. And also just being really careful of your content intake and the people that you surround yourself with. You might need some time alone if you're empathic or introverted, or even if you're an extrovert, it's time to, just get quiet and feel what's going on under the surface. And meditation can be a wonderful, kind of way to access that information and see, what's going on. Because so many times, we'll be reactive in an angry way, or maybe anxiously. And what's happening at the moment really isn't the cause of that. It's something much deeper. So kind of finding, what's happening and not just treating the symptom can help with your longevity.
Awesome. And I mean, a few other things that we want to share with you. First of all, let me address the writing. So that has really worked for me wonderfully. I used to think that I have my thoughts captured in my head, so I don't really need to write it down. But what I felt was, like, when I started journaling, I can actually keep track of my state of mind, my feelings. It actually really helps to figure out uh, how much of my time I'm spending in a negative state of mind versus a positive state of mind. And then based on that data that I'm collecting, I can start to make some changes in my life. Plus, as you write down the stuff on paper, first of all, you are creating that empty space that we talked about in your mind, because now you don't have to worry about losing that thought, or trying to remember what you thought of the day before, whatever. But now you can relax because it has been captured on paper. It doesn't have to be grammatically correct or anything like that. Just as long as you can understand it after the fact, just write down what comes to mind, and start to collect all this data and put it on paper. Because then, as you go about your day, it becomes your reference library. It also creates some space in your head, because now that information has been captured. Plus, the biggest benefit that I have seen is that you can start to notice trends over time, right? So if you're tracking your data, now you can start to see, on day-to-day basis, like, we don't understand how things are working out, whether we are improving or whether we are deteriorating, right? But if you start to capture this data, and then if some of you may even geek out and start to draw graphs and stuff like that, which I do sometimes, then it's really clear on how your life is doing. And now you can visually see and take actions, and then you can start to even track major events in your life, and then start to plot them together. Now you have a blueprint of how your life works, and that has been really revealing, at least for me. So that's one. And then the other ones are affirmations and visualizations.
Yeah.
So we all know affirmations and visualizations are basically sort of training your mind to see the future as if it is in the present, right? Do you wanna add something here?
Yeah, I think that the visualization and the consistency in the journaling really helps with neuroplasticity, and that's the brain's ability to rewire and create new neural pathways.
Mhm.
So, taking this and over time, being consistent and conscious with this effort can really help to increase the production of the neurotransmitters we like,
Yeah.
like endorphins and oxytocin, instead of getting the inflammation. And also, better sleep is related to better serotonin production. But there are things that you can trigger, like visualization. Let's say that you're walking into a meeting or another situation where you're feeling some angst or some anxiety. If you can capture a moment in your mind and reference that moment, let's say it's the day at the beach, you will definitely start to relax and find that you're operating on a much calmer and clearer level, so that when you do go back into that situation, let's say you spend 10 seconds with a visualization and then go back, you're a lot more inclined to perform better and just be your true self.
Yeah, yeah, and here I want to add a couple of points here. So try to when you start to use affirmations, visualizations, as you're trying to figure out what exactly you want. Um, uh, I'm not saying don't limit yourself, but don't go overboard. Like be realistic, because we need to believe in these visualizations. Like I could say, hey, I wanna be bigger than Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not too sure. I don't
Yeah.
intrinsically believe that's going to happen, and I don't want that to happen. So if I use that as my affirmation, it may not really have a good effect. But if I bring it to more realistic, towards my actual life, what's happening is, I wanna be able to travel more. I'm going
Mhm.
to this country, or you know uh, my podcast is at this level, or whatever, something realistic that you can actually believe and see clearly. I will say, use that and then work your way up from there.
Yeah, I think that that's wonderful advice, because we can get into the habit of self sabotage
Mhm.
where we are trying to do too much and it's unrealistic. And then, we're starting from a place that was behind where we began in the beginning.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, like, you may hear everybody say, hey, use affirmations, visualization, and you say, oh, I've been doing that, but I'm getting frustrated, nothing's happening. Whereas your current state and the thing that you're trying to visualize may be too far apart, right? If you
Mhm.
bring it a little bit closer, then you start to see results sooner, and then it becomes that feedback loop, and you're encouraged to use these techniques more and more.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right. And then the other thing is gratitude, because we all have these emotions, these feelings of disappointment, happiness, joy, guilt, whatever. So the idea here is that, using all these techniques, you want to get to a level where you're in a positive feeling most of the time, right? And I know sometimes, when we talk to people, um, some people have gone through terrible traumas, terrible experiences. So it's
Mhm.
kind of hard to reconcile that and say, how can I feel good about anything? So one good way to tackle that is to use gratitude, because gratitude is such a feeling that, if you truly feel gratitude, you can't feel negative, right? So
Mhm.
it just doesn't, like, sort of, it doesn't really, a negative feeling does not coexist with gratitude. And there's so much to be grateful for. A lot of people say, I got nothing going on, what am I grateful for? But if you think about it, especially if you're living in, um, in a safe society, where you have your basic needs which have been met, air, water, place to live.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
these are things which are, there are 7 billion people in this world, and uh, if you look at some statistics, majority of the people, like more than half of the world population, um, they struggle for these basic things,
Mm-hmm.
right? So right there's a something to be grateful for. If you go take it further, like if you just get into the scientific realm, if you look at how life originated, and how things came together, how this universe came together, even that is something to be grateful for. I mean, it's just an awesome
Yeah.
thing that we exist here and we are experiencing all these things. That privilege itself is something to be grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about looking for these little things that we don't. I mean, we generally take for granted, and we don't notice them in our daily lives. So if we just start to notice that, they become source of gratitude, which sort of elevates you from wherever you are, to the next level of your existence.
Exactly. And I think it's a matter of finding the extraordinary in the ordinary, right?
Hmm.
There's so much magic and vibrancy in each day, but we have to stop and take the time to find the gratitude in each moment.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then another thing which I think really helps is looking at your relationships. Whether they are warm relationships, or they're not warm. At least you have people that you can fall back on. Your kids, your spouses, your parents, grandparents. I mean, these are all the things that gives you, uplifts you, gives you wisdom, gives you uh, a leg above other species, because other species, they don't transfer their knowledge, their experience,
Mhm.
as we do as humans. So think of any other animal. They have to start from scratch as they learn to hunt for their food, or do anything, any take care of themselves, or whatever, right? But as humans, we pass on our knowledge, our belongings, our wealth, our everything on to next generation. So in a way, we the game is already rigged for us, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Correct. You could think of it that way. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So, and then lastly, I mean, there are many things we can talk about, but one thing we want to touch upon is the daily routine. So,
Mhm.
do you want to take that on?
Yeah, I think that we hit on a lot of the factors that can be considered, and again, with the idea of not self-sabotaging or overwhelming yourself, finding time to meditate, to be around people that support you and also challenge you. Finding that purpose professionally and personally, and incorporating the movement and the exercise is really just a wonderful recipe for longevity, happiness, and clarity. And those are really the richness in life, the internal things that make you feel great, not just what we can do on the external side.
Yeah, yeah. All right, great. So I see that nobody has logged in on the live, so I don't think we're gonna have any questions. But if anybody is watching and if you have any questions, please do comment, and we'll try to answer them. Now, just as a way of introduction, did we want to offer something as a download or anything like that?
Yeah, if we have some people that are interested, we were going to come up with a worksheet that you could use as a template to track, these activities that we were reviewing, maybe the journaling, the exercise, etc. So that's something to kind of help you find some structure and use, now into the new year.
Yeah. So if you're watching on replay, if you're interested in something like that, please do drop a comment, or send us a message on Facebook or LinkedIn, and we'll get that worksheet to you as quickly as possible.
Wonderful. And please do
Right.
expect more of these from us. We are building a series with different topics. You'll always have access to the replay, but please do look out for new things coming at you.
Yeah. And then if there's anything that you would like us to talk about, anything related to business, entrepreneurship, startups, holistic living, healing,
Mhm.
meditation, spirituality. I mean, anything at the sort of which is a combination of the mental side of things, the mindset side of things, and the business side of things. We can try and bring that content to you.
Yeah, definitely. We'd be more than happy to get some feedback and help co-create with you.
Awesome, that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you soon.